Alright guys, time to talk about some of the negatives on this skid plate I put on here. Unfortunately, there are some that I'm going to have to address. First one being, look at the oil drain plug down there. I'm not sure why they decided to put a small 1-inch hole for the drain plug. But as you can see, the way that the drain plug is kind of aimed, it's aimed a little backwards, it's not straight down, it's a little sideways. So I'm not even sure if you could pull that plug out, if the oil is going to hit the back of that skid plate, which I would think it would. If not, it'd be kissing it, that's for sure. Let me show you something else. I don't know if I keep, I probably don't need the light on it, but 17mm socket, you can't even get it on the drain plug. See how it barely, I mean, you wouldn't be able to take, you might be able to grab that off, or you might just strip the bottom of the drain plug, but your socket can't even get on the drain plug with the way they have this skid plate. So this is a bad design right here for sure. So in the first video, I was just concentrating on how the skid plate and the crash protection looked. Now we're going on function. So I was going to put the same style drain plug with a 17mm head on it, but I wanted one with a magnet in it. So I noticed that I couldn't even get that drain plug out with the skid plate on there how it is. So I was gonna get the one with the, what is it, hex bit style that you take off with the hex bit, which would work, but I mean that hole's not big enough to be able to take that oil out of there, or that plug out of there quick enough. It's gonna make a mess. Like I say, that oil and possibly would hit the back of the skid plate. It would possibly miss the skid plate. I'm not sure. Either way, you can't use a regular plug with this skid plate, so I'm gonna have to remove it. And I ordered a hole saw for metal that I'm probably going to end up cutting that hole twice the size to accommodate oil changes better and more conveniently. I really hate to do that. If the star plug does work, I might just go with that. And I should have a trick using a vacuum to keep the oil in there while you're removing the drain plug, so you don't have to erase the oil coming out. Put the vacuum on it, remove the plug, and then take the vacuum off, and then the oil will start draining. That might be a better idea than making that hole bigger, but I still feel like it's gonna possibly hit the skid plate and make a big mess. So I just want to put that out there right now. I'm about to remove this skid plate and drain the oil out of it and put in the new drain plug. I'm gonna go ahead and let it run for a minute or so this time. Let it sit for a minute or two, and then I'll drain it. Last time I actually didn't let it run because I wanted all the oil to be in the bottom and not spread out over everything in the top and everywhere else. Now I'm gonna let it heat up and then drain it this time. There is 116 miles on the bike. Alright guys, temperature is at 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me get up to temp. Let me drain the oil out. I think I'm gonna go to 195 will be fine. Good enough for me. Alright, I'm gonna let it sit for probably at least 2 minutes, let some of that oil come back down a little bit, and we'll get it drained. See what the oil's looking like. It should be clean, that's for sure. Get these up out of the way. Alright, let's get this plug out. Oh yeah. Sparkly clean oil. Let that drain. I do have the kickstand on a 2x4 to get the bike upright a little bit. Some fresh oil in that bad boy. Especially during the break-in period. If you're not putting fresh clean oil in your bike, I don't know what you're doing. Easiest thing you could do. I could put fresh oil on this bike in less than 5 minutes. I am putting one of these plugs in there, and I did get one of the ones that have a magnet on it, because after this oil change, any metal shaving still kicking around in there, I want it to collect on this magnet. This oil is cheap. Oil change is easy. No reason why you shouldn't be doing it early, especially when the motor's so new. Alright guys, one of my viewers, last time I showed an oil change, informed me that some of the oil gets stuck on the sides of the motor case. Which, my first oil change I did lean the bike over. And all my other bikes I do tend to lean them over during an oil change for a few seconds at least. But you can see it dripping there. I'm gonna lean her over and let's see what happens. I don't see any more oil coming out. And I see less oil coming out. I'm leaning her over pretty good. Put her back over. Well, it must have went to this side and then now wants to drain out when it's on that side. So there must have been a little bit hiding in there. I think he said either with a stator cover or the starter area, somewhere in there. Well, you can see a little more is coming out now after I did that. Probably do it one more time. Alright guys, it started to slow drip again. The guy that left a comment, YouTube name's KLR650s. That's what I'm gonna call you. This is him who told me to make sure I do this with this bike because the oil could collect in the stator cover area. So let's lean it one more time, see if we got it all out. I'll hold it here. Let's see if it starts dripping more once I lean it back. I'm gonna lean it over more. Go. Look at that. Well, quite a bit more coming out of there. You'd be surprised on how much this little bit is actually. But there you go. If you want to get all the oil out, you might lean it to the right and put it back on the 2x4 and you can see how much more is coming out. And I'll probably even do it again. Alright guys, it can be the third lean over. I mean, this is pretty good for me since I am in the break-in. It could have some metal shavings in the oil, but really this would be best if you had dirty oil and you're trying to get as much out of it as you can to get your clean oil in. But let's do it a third time. See if we can get some more. Leave it leaned over for a little longer this time. Let's say 30 seconds. So this is for you, XLV750. Appreciate the comment and the suggestion to do this. Okay, maybe I kind of shake it to this side. Alright, let's go back down. And there you go, look at that. I would say by now at least half of a styrofoam cup full of oil has come out. You know, the little coffee cup, styrofoam cups. At least half of a cup full. There you go. Alright guys, we're going to go 4 times. Just for fun, let's see. I ain't going to sit here doing this all day, but do the 4th lean over, hold it for 20, 30 seconds, more if you want. And kind of rock it to this side. Kind of amazed on how much oil was actually still in there by doing this. And I knew it would be a little bit. I thought maybe one of these times. Okay, go back down. There you go, 4th time. Alright, that's it. I'm not doing that again. See how long it shoots? You see how long it drips for the 4th time? And that's a pretty good amount. For sure. It goes to a drip. We all know the drill. Get your cap back on. Start it up, let it run for a couple minutes. Let it sit for a couple minutes. Check the level. Alright, well, we're letting it run. Let's take a look at the oil. There's still a little bit of dirty oil on the bottom of this pan when I started. Alright, 116 mile oil change. Alright, let's see what the level's at here. Been probably 2 minutes. Level's low. Some more added in there. That was probably 2 quarts. The rest of this in here. Should have measured it out exactly at 2 quarts, but I actually had a little more in that bottle. Let's see what that did. Better. But I'm gonna add a little more. I said before, I like it up in the upper 3/4 upper end of that sight window. That's good to me. Perfect. Alright guys, so
go ahead and take you with me on the test ride. Wanted to ride without the new skid plate on. I put my old skid plate back on. See if I could feel any difference. And as of now, no. You know, sometimes you do something and then you're focusing now more on your surroundings and how things feel and sound when you weren't doing that before. Now all of a sudden it sounds and feels different or weird. But really it's all just kind of in your mind because now you're trying to pay attention to it. Kind of cruising, we'll turn around, get some speed up on the way back. Pop a little off-road, ride the bayou for a second. Another thing I messed up on, I'm gonna have to retake every bolt out of these crash bars and put some, I got some different Loctite because I checked all the bolts about 30 miles after I put them on, and they had all come loose a little bit. Yep, still feels about the same. I'm gonna touch my motor down here with my foot. I do feel vibration coming off of that other skid plate when I touch it, probably more than this one. Anyways, so I'm gonna have to take off the bolts, put on the new Loctite that I got. I actually did a little research this time. I got some good stuff. Should hold better under vibration, but last time I put on some old gel thread lock that I had. Now it's kind of second guessing it when I was putting it on. I tend to second guess stuff and then not do anything about it. Which is silly, but I thought about it as I was doing it, and I was thinking it was just going to be okay. I wanted to get them on. But also I messed up. I didn't give it time to cure. I gave it about 30 minutes and then I took the bike out on a test ride. So pretty much the Loctite worked as a lubricant, I think, and made the bolts come looser than they would if I didn't put anything on. So that was another mistake I did. The tightest bolts were the ones in the front under the front headlight there. I didn't put any Loctite on those. Those are the tightest ones. Still maybe a hair loose, but so got the new Loctite. I'm gonna put it on and let it sit for at least 24 hours before I ride the bike, and that should get all those bolts with the crash bars held on there like they're supposed to be. So when I get back, I'm gonna do that shortly. Some people down at the bayou having fun. I used to ride right through this bayou on my dirt bike. Probably finding little fish and frogs and stuff. Woo! These tires that come on the bike are a little fun because they like to give out pretty easy, which could make it fun, and it could also make it not fun sometimes. Cruise down the side of the bayou right here real quick. I feel like my, oh yeah, I felt the ABS kick in when I jammed it. I don't know what's going on up there. I used to cross the bayou here. After I get a little used to this off-road, I'm sure I could cross that right there right now, but I'm not going to. So I get a little more ride time. I'll get a little braver. Alright, just a quick little test ride with the factory skid plate. Nothing fancy. I'll make another run down the road just to double check it. Still working on the best position for the camera and microphone to do some riding videos. Here's where you try to not get ran over. Hard for me to tell, but I'm going to try to remember this after I could get the crash bars thread locked down, put on the skid plate, take it out on another test ride with this skid plate, and then I'll put back on the other skid plate back to back, and I'm going to try to make sure there's nothing going on, because if there is, I'll try to fix it with some dampening, some foam, some this, some of that. If I can never get it perfect, I won't be able to ride it. Then I'll put the factory one back on. As much as I like the skid plate, I'm not gonna put it on if it's gonna affect the performance of the motorcycle in a negative way. A little bit of engine braking while we're out here. Help with the brake in. Far from with the camera setup that I got going on now, anywhere from 40 to 50 sounds pretty good. I feel to get up towards 70 sounds okay. It gets a little noisy, but that's just how it is. Not going to work too hard at it. This helmet's not the quietest. It is what it is. Most of the time, if I end up going on a ride while videoing, try to go on the back road, where you go on a little slower, or off-road, should be just fine. Alright guys, I decided let's go ahead and go with it, enlarging this hole, because just not going to be able to do an oil change unless I put a vacuum on it.
get that plug out nice and slow, and then release the vacuum. I just don't feel like doing that. I think if we enlarge it, probably be a better idea. So I got a 2-inch hole saw here. Okay. Get a little lube on there. It needs to be a little more this way than that way, so I think that'd be good. Don't know if this is the right way to do this. It's the way I'm doing it. Okay. Flying around here. I'm gonna hold it more steady. Get my knee up in here and hold it. Definitely not the best, easiest thing to do. I'm not doing this correctly. I should have been taking my time, but just trying to get the hole wide and we'll figure out the rest later. Okay, I'm starting to doubt this. Here we go. Not the prettiest. Okay. Didn't realize it was gonna make so much metal shavings. Definitely not the prettiest. Alright, let's see how this came out though. Alright peeps. Let's get a little paint on it. I already took it and used a Dremel. I sanded the edges, make sure we didn't have anything sharp going on. Okay. It's really not that big of a deal. It's on the underneath and it's just a skid plate. Just trying to get some paint coverage on it. Like so. That should be good enough. Okay, no big deal, even if it's not perfect. Do your own oil changes. These ramps come in really handy. Let me get that plug back in, the filter on it. Alright, got my wife's oil drained, plug and filter on, and we're still not dry here yet, so I'm gonna give this a little more time. Alright, let's get a second coat on this thing. Now that the wife's oil change is done, and get back to business. I probably should have cleaned it better, but really not a big deal. Make sure there's no big drips on these edges. And let that dry. Alright, let the skid plate dry quite a bit. Now that I've done it on a bigger area, you can see that satin finish is a little shinier than the factory finish. I did some touching up right there on a couple of tiny spots. See the difference. You can barely see those, but I kind of slathered it on here. Matte finish paint might match a little better now that I'm doing a bigger section. There's the bottom of it. But this thing's gonna be scratched up and banged up after a while, so it especially doesn't matter inside of it here. But there's the hole. It's a 2-inch hole now instead of the little 1-inch hole. Plus I brought it back a little this way since the drain plug aims this way. It was a little 1-inch hole right here. I did a 2-inch hole back further that way. There you go. I need to get this video wrapped up. That's the hole. Alright guys, that's it. Today we did the 116-mile oil change. Changed the drain plug, one with a magnet in it. Did the skid plate modification. Outback Motortek kind of dropped the ball on where the access hole is for the drain plug. If you want to do that tiny little 1-inch hole, it needs to be brought back at least a 1/4 inch. I opted for a 2-inch hole I drilled in mine. What else did we do today? I took off each bolt one by one on the crash bars. Put some JB Weld Permalock on them. Got them done hopefully the right way. Got them locked back down. That was easy. Only took me about 30 minutes. Went on a little test ride. Probably do some more modifications to the skid plate. Probably put some foam on it here and there. That'll be another video. Do some tests with the OEM compared to the new one. This bike with the 116 miles, it hasn't been further than 3 miles from my house. I take it, you know, maybe 10, 15 mile rides, and then I bring it back here, set it, let it cool down. Other than that, I think hopefully by next weekend, maybe I can start venturing on a little bit further. We'll see what comes out of that. That's it for today, guys. I'm gonna go eat dinner. Later.